Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we had started the mantra by mantra review of the Anuvaka number 1, and we had done up to again the numbering system is inconsistent between them, but if we look at page number 42 of Swami Dayanandji's book, we had done, I think, up to number 7. Asau yas tamru aruna uta babhrusu mangalaha ye chema rudra abhito dikshuhu, etc. So there we ended the last class yesterday by commenting on the word asau. And so the asau here means this. So you don't use the word this until you have something right very close to you, directly visible to you. So the word used there is sakshat. A beautiful word, important word, sakshat. These two words are used together, sakshat, aparokshat. So sakshi, the one which is directly and without any distance from you, aparokshat. So it's interesting that 3 words are used. One is pratyaksha. The word pratyaksha, as you know, means prati akshaha, right in front of the eyes. So here it means very directly. The other one is paroksha, which is away from you. And the third word used is aparoksha. So if you look at this use of these 3 words in the description of the Atma, so it's interesting, if you just forget about the Atma for a minute here, or forget about this reference for a minute here. If you look at any other thing, those things can be either right in front of you or away from you. So it could be right pratyaksha or paroksha. So pratyaksha means right in front, or it could be paraksha, which is away from you. Okay? Now when you describe the Atma, is the Atma in front of you? Atma means I. Am I in front of me? No, I cannot be in front of me because I am I. Is it away from me? No, certainly not away from me. So how are you going to describe I? So a third word is used. It's just the most beautiful word, really, honestly. It's called aparoksha. So aparoksha means not away. Then is it pratyaksha? No, I didn't say it is pratyaksha. So this is why they say, Swami TV is very used to saying this. This is one of his favorite way of explaining things, that the best vidya is a negative vidya. Okay, neti iti adeshaha. Na iti. It's not sthula sharira, it's not sukshma sharira. And so the negation of this and that is the only way. The negation of pratyaksha and the negation of paroksha is the only way when you can see it is the Atma itself, aparoksha. So that's the description of the Atma. Here, however, the word asau. So the asau here means pratyaksha. Means pratyaksha. So he's talking about the sun in this particular verse. And for the rest of the Anuvaka number 1, the rest of the mantras here, I'm going to go through somewhat rapidly. The reason being that in the morning classes, these are going to be discussed in much more detail. And so it is better to not repeat, and we'll go through all of that a little while. Now, the next one is similar to the number 7, here number 7, number 8 here number on page 45. Asauyo vasarpati nila grivo vilohitaha utainan gopa adrishan udaharyaha utainan vishwa bhutanisa drishto midayati naha. And so very simple, I'm just going to copy the translations of Swami Dayanandji on this, and then briefly comment on it, but I'll go through rather rapidly on the rest of the Anuvaka 1 and really then begin Anuvaka 2. So here he says, Lord Rudra, whose neck is blue, moves in the sky. Even shepherds see him. Women who bring waters also see him. All beings see him. May the Lord who is seen by us make us happy. This is the translation, good translation. This is a very important verse that Swami Maheshanandji expounds with great clarity. And it's one of the very beautiful verses, really. It's a life-changing verse, if you may. And we say that because the spirit behind both number 7 and 8, the one that we saw before this and this one, is this. Okay? And so again, I'm just going to briefly introduce this and not really get into it until we go into the morning classes. I think we'll have time this week to at least go up to this much. The spirit behind these two verses is this. The recognition of Atma, the Atma Vidya, the Brahma Vidya, appears to be very difficult. This is how we take it. It really, quite honestly, we all have this feeling that, oh my God. And you know, it's interesting. It is rather rare. It's a very rare thing that someone can, to be a Mahatma, a very rare thing. It's very. And so, following the rarity of knowing the Atma, our impression is that it is very difficult. Very difficult. And I don't know what do I have to do? And we keep reinforcing that idea by saying, you have to give up the world and you have to change your lifestyle, all these kinds of things. And Rudra is aghora, but to see aghoritvam is very hard to do, etc., etc. In fact, is so beautiful. It really is the easiest thing ever possible. Easiest thing. How difficult it is for you to be you. Just imagine, can you say, are you Are you there? I am there. How difficult it is to be there. It's not an ordinary question. What do you mean that how difficult it is? I am. Is it very difficult to be you? Stop it. This is a stupid kind of question. Is it difficult to be I? So really speaking, the fact that I am what I am is exactly like those used car salesmen who will say, what kind of a color do you want of the car? I don't even know if I want to get the car or not. So similarly, this is stupid to say how difficult it is to be you. It's not a question of difficulty. This is how easy it is. But the fact of the matter is that as soon as you say, I, immediately I make a mistake about myself, because I'm used to seeing myself in action, my hands, my body, my mind. So immediately that's what I think that I am. No, I don't mean that. I mean you. So there is some, even though it is not a question of easy or difficult, but I make a mistake about who I am. Swami Dayananda used to say that you are is not in question. Who you are is a question. And so therefore, it's a very big puzzle. The easiest thing, we make it very difficult. So to throw light on that, these verses are talked about. And so in number 8, in specifically, it is interesting. It says, Asau yo avasarpati. Avasarpati means one which is, what's the English word for that? Let me see, what is he used for Sarpati? Hello. Moves in the sky. So moves, yes, but there should be a better word. In fact, I will go through this in the morning class. But here, the word sarpa, a snake. How does the snake move? No. Slither? Quite close to it. There's another word. So I will come back later on. But the sarpa is a very, in fact, not in this context or another context. A snake is used in a very interesting way. Swami Dayananda used to say that the snake is an amazing creation. The fellow has no legs, but he moves so quickly it's unbelievable. In fact, this is an event that happened which is etched in my memory. So my father, who was a mining person, coal mining. So what he would do is he would go in the morning and work for 4 hours, then come home take a shower, have lunch, and take a quick nap, and then go back to the office for another 4 hours. So this is how it was a split of the way he was to do that. He was a very senior manager of coal mines and so on. So one day he was walking. This was all in the jungle area, and we used to have so many snakes. Oh my God, it's amazing. One day he was coming, and he saw a snake gaining on him from the backside. Somehow he looked. And so it was moving so fast that it was gaining on him when he was walking. So he started to run. He had to run to escape the approaching snake. And then he also had to, the other thing that the snake cannot do is to move quickly. Laterally you cannot move. It just moves, towards the front. So he just turned around on one side and was walking the other side. He says it was a very scary situation. So the snake is a very powerful thing. Swami Dayanand always says, he says, what a creation of Ishvara. It moves so fast without any legs. So I think the slither is a good, but it's not I think there's another word that will come to me later. So the Maya Shakti represented by the sun, here the whole idea is that of the sun, and so this is the Maya Shakti of Ishvara in the form of the sun, moves. It slithers in front of us. It is continuously moving. And you don't even see how it is moving, but it just moves. I really enjoy the sunrise from our dining room. And these days in California, it rises at about, I think at this point, about maybe 5:50 or so. And how quickly it comes up without any movement. It's a beautiful thing to see. Okay, now, so this is one thing. And when we go into, and so you remember we talked about Anirvachaniya in the morning of the Maya, of the world. That coupled with this Avasarpanam means that the whole world is continuously changing right in front of us. This is the very nature of it. It looks very solid, but it is really moving. This is a great way to create. Ishvara's creation is just an amazing one. One thing I would extend this for just half a minute and then I'll come back to it. Do you know the entire creation is based on continuous motion? Even solidity and non-movement consists of movement. If you don't believe me and if you don't understand me, just look at the table or the wall, any solid object right in front of you. The table is not moving, just still. It is moving. If you are a scientist and you had a microscope, it is nothing but atoms and molecules moving. This is what you will see. There is no such thing as non-movement anywhere. Similarly, our lives, when we are born, in fact, the linearity of our life, linearity means I was born at some place, I am here, and then I will disappear, is also nothing but and also, by the way, I would add this, the basis of all non-movement or linearity is circular movement. It's circular movement, not only movement, but the whole thing is just moving in a circular way. Amazing. I remember the words of Swami Dayanand. He used to say, he says, we often wonder about the vastness of the creation, how big it is, that the number of stars and the number of galaxies, and so the sheer size of it, we often wonder about that. He says, do you know what really fascinates me? He says, more than appreciating the vastness of the creation, I am fascinated by the smallness of the creation. And by that he meant, I'm amazed how things are manufactured by Ishvara as an accumulation of extremely small circular motions. Anyway, that's a separate topic sometimes, but I thought that I would interject that here. So back to the main theme of these 2 or 3 verses, which is the ease of knowing. This is a huge topic, absolutely a huge topic. And we recently finished a section about, 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, on Kena Upanishad. On Kena Upanishad, this is talked about very well, and culminating in a very important verse, number 4 of section 2, I believe, which says, Pratibodha viditam matam, amritam hi vindate. That whole discussion is exactly this. It is so easy to see, but somehow I miss it. I just miss it. So the ease of knowing is highlighted by this verse, which says, everybody can see it. Even women who are carrying water on their head, they can see it. Shepherds can see it. Meaning, everyone, you don't need to be a scholar to see the sun. Not only that you need to have a PhD to see the sun. Everyone can just see the sun. But we don't appreciate what the sun is. As we saw earlier, we don't appreciate that Ishvara appears to us in the form of the sun. As we saw earlier, that if you were to manufacture the world from ground zero, absolutely nothingness, what would you do? You will have to, you can at least, I personally, not personally, but I think about this. The light is one of the most amazing creation of Ishvara. Without light, you cannot do anything. And the very source of light is the appearance. It is like Ishvara saying, here is my creation. This is who I am. And this creation is the sun, the light, the very source of the light. And heat, preciseness, manufacturing of seasons, everything. This deeper fact is not appreciated. So why this? By saying shepherds can see it, Udaharas sin can see it, etc. means that even though it is visible to the naked eye, even though it is visible to the unschooled eye, to the non-PhD eye, but you need to have a PhD in the sense of understanding the depth and of the background and so on, or to understand where Ishvara is. Because we just say, where is Ishvara? Where is Ishvara? We don't know it. Have you seen them in Sailorsburg lately? No, we haven't seen him in Sailorsburg. Maybe it's in Canada. You ask the Canadians, he says, have you seen God? No, we haven't seen God. It must be in India. India is a place where, when you ask any average Indian and he says, are you kidding me? He's certainly not here. The heaven is America, really. He must be there. It must. Nobody appreciates it. But he's everywhere. Whenever there is a light, in fact, wherever there is a darkness also is a creation. Absence of light is also a creation. But light, whenever there is a light, this is how prevalent it is. This is interesting. Just on this one point, then we need to proceed further. We were getting late. That if you were to now design the whole creation, the whole cosmos, and you have to provide light, how will you do that? So what you will do is you'll have a sun, and the sun will light up the area around it up to a certain degree. And so the light also takes time. It takes time to reach an object. And so when it comes to such a distance that it takes too long to reach, there is a time now to make another sun. So if you have to do the whole cosmos, which is the very nature of light, which is illuminated by light, this is what you'd have to do. You have to put suns at all of the places. Remember that example about the Petromax. So the Petromax means that the fellow said, listen, this is a very important, my daughter is getting married, and there's 200-300 people coming at night time. I don't want anybody to stumble. Imagine going to a wedding and there's no light there. And you cannot do anything, you cannot have ceremony, you cannot serve the hors d'oeuvres, or nothing. Light is most important. So this fellow was saying, make the Petromax go at all the areas where there is some darkness. And this fellow could not find any darkness, so he never put anything down. Just imagine this. So the sun has to be pocketed at various places, precisely. And you don't want to have two suns as the source of light. We don't have, because that would be just, the only other thing that you can do is to do some reflected light. And so the moon can have, the moon is what a beautiful creation. When we come to the moon, we'll discuss it. But you do not have multiple lights. It has to be a singular light at a particular place. How can I miss this? This is the presence of Ishvara everywhere. Personally designated at various points that you can recognize it. And so even but we see it, we don't see it. Ishvara. All we see is just, oh, that's just a sun. One other thing that Swami Maheshananji, I think, made it very clear, very indebted to him for this. He says, he can say, do you know that even the absence of sun means there is presence of sun? Certainly in two instances. Certainly in the case, just like just now. In fact, this is a beautiful day to illustrate it. You can say that we have not seen sun since this, I don't know what time it became cloudy, say 1 o'clock, because there was some sun earlier, I don't know. But we can say today there is no sun. How do you know that? Oh, because I see clouds, I don't see any sun. How do you see the clouds? By the presence of the sun you see the cloud. If the sun was not there, you would not see the cloud. And then of course when the sun disappears at night time, goes towards India, there is sun. Even the absence of the sun means there is sun. You all know this, because all that has happened is, it is being hidden by the contours of the earth. There is sun there as well. So the sun is, it may be temporarily hidden, but even the absence of the sun is confirmed by the presence of the sun. What a beautiful thought. Very lovely. So here, again, I think I'll just proceed further, but there is a section where in Vedanta, not just a section, but there are portions of, you can say section, but there are portions of Vedanta that highlight the ease of knowing. Ease of knowing. And and the difficult of knowing the ease of knowing. We said, no, it cannot be that easy. And that's a fact, that we just make it so difficult that we say, oh Mahatma, oh my gosh, But the more we think it that way, the more difficult we make it up for ourselves. It is much easier than you think. You're missing something right under your nose. So that's the spirit of this particular verse. And this is highly commented on by Swami Maheshananji. I've already spent a lot of time doing that, so I'm going to move a little bit more, move more quickly. What I would say is, and so there's a lot of other words that need to be unfolded. One of the most important words to be unfolded, which I haven't done that yet, is Nilagrivaha, the blue-necked one. This has an enormous importance in the understanding of Ishvara. And I think it might come, I want to just move quickly and I won't stop there, but we'll come back to Nilagrivaha. This blue-neckedness has a very important significance for us, especially the Adhyatmika. We all know the Adidaivika, how the blue neck came about in the Samudra Manthanam and all of that. So we are very familiar with that, and I'll briefly mention that so that you know what that reference is. But the Adhyatmika view of that is an amazing one, and Swami Maheshananji brings that out. And this is what we will see that later on. So I won't comment on it at this point. Anyway, so let's go further. So this is what it is. Number 9, Namo astu Nilagrivaaya Sahasrakshaya Midushe. So the rest of the verses on Anuvaka number 1 is more of a consolidation and a re-emphasis of what has already been done in the Upakrama. So I feel that it is also a little bit of Upasamhara and Abhyasa. Remember, the Anuvaka number 1 is one which gives you a complete picture of the whole thing. It is not just one, so it gives a little bit of Namaha, it gives a little bit of Prarthana, there is Upakrama, Upasamhara, all of that is there. And so this is a continuation of something that has already been introduced in mantra number 1 and 2, etc. And so I won't spend a lot of time on that because for 2 reasons. I think we're going to revisit this anyway on some of it in the morning classes, and the other one is that we need to proceed a little bit further. So I won't comment on all of that. What we could do is, I think I won't even, let me not even translate it. You have the book in front of you, and you may want to make that into a homework, that you at least read the translation by Swami Dayananji, superbly done. And even if you want, if you have the time, you can do a word for word. Either you can do the complete sentence, or you can do a word for word pause and for this. So I won't really spend any time on in fact, what I should do is just go through. Yeah, maybe if you forgive me, I think that all of the Anuvaka number 1, I won't comment on. You will just, please do this yourself, because it's a continuation of the consolidation, continuation, repetition, just to emphasize what the main point is. And the main point is the same, that there are 2 faces of Rudra, Ghora Rupa and Aghora Rupa. And so there is a prarthana for, please let me see the Aghora Rupa of Rudram. So that's what this is. Okay. Then the Anuvaka 2 starts with a recognition. Again, this is a Namaha. So, Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya. So So this whole section, Swami Dayananji says, as he says in number 67, this particular mantra is not in the original Rudra, but by convention it is repeated at the end of the first Anuvaka. And so, one can give series of classes just on this one particular mantra, but it is really just a recognition of all of it, all Sarveshwaratvam, Sarvatmamatvam, etc. Everything is included in this, and it is really not part of the Rudra. Just like the end of the 11th Anuvaka, Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti, that's also not part of the Rudra. That's also added. Similarly, this one is also added. And so, in the review of the flow of the ideas on Rudram, I will not comment on this. Again, I personally think that the description here by Swami Dayananji is much more complete and worth reading. So make a note to yourself to review sometimes when you have the translation of this section of the Anuvaka number 2. So I won't do that. Okay, so I think he's done very well from 67 all the way up to 70. Okay. All right, so let me see what to comment on Anuvaka 2. Okay, let me comment on a few things. Yeah.
About reading from the Rudra book from Swami Vaishnavanji.
Yeah.
So over there, there are sections like Ka, Kha, Ga, and then it keeps talking about Shukla Yajurved, Madhyam, Shaka, and then you will have some other shloka over there which is not part of.
Yeah, so that is exactly right. So Swami Maheshananji has embarked on an interesting way of reviewing the Rudram. He has tried to do both the Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda together. Okay? And so there are differences in sequences between them, and some slight differences in, for example, in emphasis of issue. The arrow is much more on the Krishna Yajurveda than in the... And so as a result, it's a good thing that you pointed out. I should have really said that. You're not going to find a straight one-for-one sequencing of the two Vedas. What he has done is, as best as he could, commented when both are similar. In some cases, there's one that is missing, then he would just comment it on one rather than the other. And sometimes the sequence is such that some ones appear earlier in the whole sequence than later in the whole sequence. So he recognizes that. So it can be confusing, but there's no need to be. It's there in one way or the other. I am proceeding based on Swami Dayananji's book. Okay? So that's the reference. That's the one you should do. And then you can find references by the Shukla Yajurveda, or not Shukla Yajurveda, but you can get the interpretation by Swami Maheshananji somewhere in there. So there's some work required to do so. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. Okay. So now in the second verse, I think all I'm just trying to do is to see in the time that I have which one I should really focus in on and so on. So let me just pick out a few words from the first mantra of the Anuvaka number 2, page on number 71. Namo, Namo Hiranyabahave Senanye Dishan Chapataye Namaha. So this Hiranyabahave means your hands made out of gold. Okay, so let me just pause and talk a little bit about the gold. So you will often see references to goldness of Ishvara. What do you mean by gold? So here, of course, Swami Maheshananji says that but just saying golden arms doesn't mean that the rest of body is non-golden. It's not like you have gold coated the arms and the rest of them. The whole thing is nothing but gold. In fact, the whole creation is nothing but the gold. Why gold? For the following reason, and a very important reason. Okay? Gold does not tarnish. Gold doesn't tarnish. Silver tarnishes. We have in our house, Pami has made all of our silver things in one place. Teacups, etc., etc. That thing tarnishes very quickly. We have a helper who comes in is a wonderful person, Christina, who comes and cleans the house and so on. So long time ago, she would actually try to untarnish the silver. And she was spending so much time that she was not doing anything else. So we said, stop it, let it tarnish. So the silver tarnishes, but the gold doesn't tarnish. This is a very important thing for us to see. And has to do with there's some other things that we will talk about, so I'll just briefly comment on this, non-tarnishing. The Atma does not tarnish. Tarnish means, you can look at the non-tarnishment in various ways. It does not change. It is young forever. We might just do a meditation on this. I think I will. I'll make a note to myself. This is an amazing thing. The Atma, the consciousness, never tarnishes. It never gets old. Do you believe this? There is only one thing that doesn't get old. In fact, just the opposite is true for Anatma. In the Anatma, you may feel, if you look at Anatma means the non-self. So the body and the mind is Anatma. Even if the Anatma looks young, it is very old. A new person born, a baby born, look at the skin of the baby. It is untarnished, fresh, smooth, and it looks like a new baby. You know what the fact of the matter is? The new baby born, I'm not exaggerating, is 7 billion years old. I'm just making up a number 7. I have to do something. I don't know. How can I say infinite? You will say, what are you talking about infinite? In fact, it is anadi. It is so old that the anatma has to be, and this is exactly what happens. It gets so old that it has to be renewed. And then that gets old, and then that has to be renewed. We were born again and again as young, but there is no such thing as really young. It appears young, but it is very old. Contrasted to that is the consciousness, the Atma. And it is an amazing thing that anything which has a form cannot be new. The only thing that can be new is formless. And formlessness is the Atma. It never tarnishes, it is never old. So the Hiranya Bahave, whenever you say Hiranya Rupaha, so it refers to the consciousness which never gets old. That's what the reference to the goldness of the Atma is. So please remember that. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to comment on. Then, this is the next topic. I'm wondering whether I should even. I think there is a very interesting topic on the Vyavaharika Sat, which I think is done better in the morning class because it takes a considerable time to unfold, a very important one, and so I will skip that. I won't do that here, so I'm just going to proceed very quickly in this. So this is what I will do. I mean, unfortunately, this is what I have to do. I have to just pick some spots and continue on. Okay, then the next one, number 2, is Namo Vrikshebhyoh Harikeshebhyah Pashunam Pataye Namaha. So here, salutations to the Lord, who is in the form of the trees that have fresh green leaves and who is the Lord of all beings. Again, this is a Adi-Daivika view. So you're saying, so here Swami Dayananji is talking about the Sarvatmamatvam, that he is the trees, he is forests, he is water, he is all of that, which is true. But there is also an Adhyatmika view of this, which means the Vriksha is the same thing as the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Urdhvamulam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam is talked about. So there, the imagery is that of the whole world as a growing tree. And the tree has a lot of different aspects to it. It's got a stem, and it has branches, and it has leaves, and all this is all talked about in great detail on the 15th chapter and elsewhere also, not just in the Shruti, in Smriti, but also in the Shruti. And so this represents the world that we see. And the world that we see is something that grows right in front of us. Just look at this. Supposing you are a baby, just view the experiences that you have from the eyes of a baby. Just look at this. So the baby has the experience which is very simple at first. It is just opening up the eyes and it sees something that it doesn't know who that is. You don't know it's your mom, your dad, your grandma or anything. It just sees some things. So this is the beginning of the tree. And so this is the way it should be, because you just give it some simple things to deal with. Only and very simple and very essential things to deal with. The baby knows, am I comfortable or am I uncomfortable? It sees the degree of comfort. And it has that much viveka. Thank goodness. Wonderful. It knows I am not comfortable. And it opens its mouth and starts crying. This is the extent of the tree. Very simple. You're not talking about Democrats and Republicans and Modi ji. All that is the growth of the tree as the world grows for this baby. Pretty soon you will see this baby grasp at things that are more detailed. More branches will come up, more leaves will come up, and phala will come, fruits will come. What the experiences are for the baby, good, bad, complicated, all that is going to come. Now imagine that to an adult. What a complicated world we live in. My goodness, there is food, there is hunger, there is thirst, there is knowledge, there is ignorance. So many complications. History, future. And so it grows. And this growth is also is something which is also limiting you. The more it grows, the more small you feel. I'm captured by all of this. So this is a very interesting thing. He says, Namo vrikshebhyaha harikeshebhyaha, green trees, growing trees. Green tree means alive, moving. Then he says, Pashunam pataye namaha. So Pashunam pataye means, Pashu means one which is captured, one which is restrained, one which feels very small and is unable to get out of this. I want to really grow out of this sense of smallness. I want to be expansive and big and understanding and all of that, but I can't. Every time I do take some steps, I'm pushed back and saying, you stay right there. I can't do it. So this is called the Pashu. But so the Pati of the Pashu is the one who wields the smallness, who keeps me so limited in my life and so on. And so that means can also release me. So like an animal which is being tied down with a rope and is being shepherded along, and you cannot go anywhere. This is, just like you see these walking dogs, people with dogs walking with the leash on it. So the dog can run around here and there and so on, but that's it. Nothing, can't do that. You can but the person holding the leash can unleash me. So may Rudra unleash me. Right now he's holding a leash on me. So this is the sense of Pashunam Pataye Namaha. So I'll just leave it at that. You can spend more time on this. All of this requires a lot of explanation. We need more time. So the next one, Namas Saspinjarayat Vishimate Pathinam Pataye Namaha. Let me see what notes I had made. Yeah, so Tvishimate. Oh, this is very disjointed. I'm just going to give you some individual ones. This will be disjointed for a while. I don't have time to really. So Tvishimate here means flaming bright, very, very bright. And so here, Swami Maheshananji takes this as the beacon for going in the right direction. So like, for example, well-lighted way is the real meaning of Tvishimate Pathinam. The one which gives me the right direction. This is all part of the Diksha. So the Diksha means give me the right direction to move. And may you, with your wisdom, impart that wisdom to me so that my path in proceeding is well lighted, that I'm not stumbling in the dark. This is the thing it is. In the last one that I will comment on before we run out of time is Harikeshaya Where is it? Yeah, I'm going to shift over to verse number 9, the mantra number 9. Harikeshayo upavitine pushtanam pataye namaha. So here, Harikeshaya upavitinam. So, Harikesha. So Harikesha is the Vyutpatti Artha by Swami Maheshananji is Harika Isha. Harikasya Isha is called Harika Isha, Harikesha. Harika means yellow. A yellow horse is traditionally known in the Shastra as Harika, yellow horse. The yellow horse represents the karmendriya that we have. May my karmendriyas be very, and the yellowness of the karmendriya is, so there are two things, imagery involved. So the horse is the symbol of karmendriya, because you can run. So as an imagery, the horse is as the symbol of karmendriya. The yellowness of the horse, again, it requires more time to really unfold this, but just do this. The yellowness represents the purity of the horse, the purity of the karmendriya. And the purity of the karmendriya means, may you make my organs of action conducive to me. You can say this very well. May I keep my body and muscles through my work. This is how you can say workout. If you neglect the karmendriyas, and part of that is your own body, you will suffer. You will stumble. And so all the eyes to see and to hold the hands, all of the karmendriyas can be considered to be something that can be purified and used for my good rather than my problems. So this is the kind of imagery. All of that really has to be adhyatmically understood. That you have to see that I have to control and purify my jnana indriyas as well as my karma indriyas. This is the interpretation that Swami Maheshananji says. Or you can simply say tender grass and so either one of them. All of these standard with Adi Daivika, I'm going to leave you for reading at your leisure and going to concentrate on some of the Adhyatmika views that Swami Maheshananji has pointed out. So with that, I am running out of time. I'll close and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om